It's Tuesday's Talking Reds with me, Craig Hannan and Paul Cope. Gibbo and I went to Anfield this morning and we saw the actual European Cup. Now it was in a case, but they're obviously at Anfield, they're allowing people to come down and visit and to queue up. We'll have a little video about that soon. You going to go and queue up? You going to go and see it? Or have you seen it before?
Yeah, so I've got quite a few stories about the European Cup. I went on a tour of the Bernabeu. I've done this in the Bernabeu. I think I've even done it in the Nou Camp as well. Definitely in the Bernabeu, you do the tour, and at the end you get to the end. This was quite funny, because it was like this weird Spanish English. They didn't really speak English, and I didn't speak Spanish. And they go to you at the end. Do you want to hold our European Cup? Do you want to have a photo with our European Cup? And everyone else is queuing up, going, yeah. Oh my God, the European Cup. And I just went, no thanks. And they were really offended. They were like, what do you mean? And I was trying to get across to them that we had our own. So I was like, we've got one, we own one, I'm a Liverpool supporter. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, and I've got photos with our one. And it was one of those weird moments where the rest of the world has no idea what's going on and you're just dead happy. I was just really smug and proud. And so after Istanbul, because I took my Super Croat Igor Biscan used to be atrocious banner, and I'd been in touch with the club, the museum, about giving it to them. It's still in my loft because they were always going to build this massive museum, because he was saying to me it's too big basically to put up anywhere. So we were having this chat about it, and he basically invited me, and I took my mates, and I felt like 10 of us went. My dad and his dad went. So we've got photos, we basically recreated all the Istanbul photos with the European Cup. So that was the actual one that we kept. I've got photos with, but it's mad. I was just saying to Craig before we started filming, I've lost the photos. It's not like this for all the kids who are watching. This is what the world was like before, Apple and iCloud and all stuff like that. They're just photos, actual physical photos somewhere, and I don't know where they are. And I'm trying to get my dad to find them in his loft, because they must be somewhere. We can't have thrown them out. So so whenever anyone's like, "Do you want to see the European Cup?" I'm a bit like, I mean,
seen it. I think
I've kissed the real one.
Yeah, so. I think there's something more special. I've done the Nou Camp tour, and you're walking around and you see their European Cups, and you're a bit like, doesn't mean anything really. It doesn't evoke any sort of memories or memories of experiences. It doesn't remind you of anything nice. It's just this big shiny thing that sits in a museum. And then you walk around obviously before we've won number 6, you walk around and you see number 5 in the museum at Liverpool. And I remember me and Gibbo actually a couple of years ago we went into the museum, and they had one of the European Cups, whether it was the replica or whether it was the actual number 5. And we said to the woman, look, can we get out of the case? Can we? She's like, no, you're not allowed. And then I think there was something where she liked the Anfield wrap, so she was like, right, 2 seconds, and she checked to see if no one was there. I hope I'm not getting anyone in trouble here, by the way. No names. Could have been a man as well. Could have been a woman. I'm just. And this person then said, just lift it, and I don't know how anyone's getting that above their head. That's it. I know I don't go to the gym or anything, but it was so heavy, and I'm sure did you get to lift it, or were you kissing it, or what were you doing with it?
It's hard to think back because it was a long time ago now, but because it was a similar thing where they were like, you can't touch it, and then we were doing the come on, and we were in a private room, and there were people outside. I love it when that happens, when there's people peering in, going who are you? Why are you getting to pick up the European Cup? And it was a similar thing where he was like, okay, because we were just we're just going to pick it up. Yeah. So you might as well just say we can, and then we'll just all get our photos, and then we'll put it down again. Yeah, it's a massive trophy, isn't it? Because when we went to Rob's thing last weekend, we got a replica, and at the time you're like, I mean, that was big enough, wasn't it? But
the real thing is a lot. Yeah, it's thicker, it's fatter.
It's an incredible trophy, isn't it? That's what I love about the European Cup.
It's perfect.
It's just the best trophy to win. I always think that if you're going to make a tournament, it's one of the reasons the League Cup no one cares about. I don't think the trophy is not good enough.
That's what Sam said that in the morning meeting. It's rubbish. It's I think what I've loved sort of over the past week is hearing everyone's stories about in 2005. So one like yourself, but Sean Walsh told us one where he was like, he just said casually in office, I've held the European Cup. It was in someone's gaff, and I'm like, what? And he said, basically someone had it in their house when he was a kid, and he went round and then he showed us the picture, and it's the actual real one. And then Gibbo said exactly the same. He said he knew someone that was for some reason looking after the actual European Cup for a night, and basically rang everyone he knew and said, get over to mine, the European Cup's here, and everyone come over and got a picture with it. Like, absolutely loved that.
It is funny because when I was writing a piece about this after the game, it was either before or after the game for the website and for the app, I was like, it's mad thinking back 14 years, but the world was a completely different place back then. Like, I'm turning into one of those old fellas who talks about the olden days, but you just can't imagine that happening now, can you? Because with social media and everything, if someone had the European Cup in their house, there would be thousands of people there within about 2 hours.
Live from
it. Here we are outside gyms with the European Cup.
My dad told me a story as well about when he was a kid, and his football team went over to Anfield, and they basically went into the trophy room, and the European Cup was just sat there. Wasn't in a case, wasn't in anything like that, but they had someone looking after it, and the guy who was looking after it basically said to them, right, no one's allowed to lift the European Cup, okay? If I catch anyone lifting the European Cup, you're in trouble, you get thrown out, but I'm just going to take a piss here. And he leaves the room and everyone's like, get in the European Cup. Yes. And it just, like, he tells that story and I'm like, that just would never happen now. Obviously there's a case on it, there's two big security guards inside it.
Whereabouts is it in Anfield?
It's in the Cop Bar, that new bar that's sort of, I think it's where the old store used to be. They've got, it's really cool how they've done it. They've got like screens and everything, so whenever you're queuing, it basically replays the match. So like Gibbo was basically, I think he says in the video, he was going to just stay and watch the match. Yeah. So it's nice to do that.
That might be a nice idea. Just go and sit and watch the match again next to the European Cup.
Yeah, and they basically just got all these screens and cool lights. Believe me, it's a lot different than what I would imagine it was like in 2005, or I think when they did have, because they did have it at the stadium in 2005, I remember, and I'm pretty sure they just had it on like a bit of like tablecloth, didn't they, on the table, and everyone just goes and then gets right next, and this time it's in a case. But yeah, here's a little video from us earlier with the European Cup.
You alright, Craig?
Yeah, Simon, what are you up to?
Music, mate.
Yeah, he's lovely, isn't he?
As you can see, we're at Anfield with the beautiful European Cup. It is absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? It's even prettier in real life than I imagined.
It really is. It's a lot better than the jarg version that Sam brought to Lovin' Rockets. Sorry, Sam.
That was very kind of Sam. We are at the Cop Bar outside, well, just inside Anfield, really, where the European Cup is here all week. You can come and see it. It's completely free. It opens at 10 o'clock in the morning. We've stuck in a little bit early to do this, which is very kind of Liverpool, so thanks to them. But yeah, it's here all week, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m, completely free. And to be honest, I might come back just to do the queue.
It's cool, isn't it?
Because they're showing the game everywhere and all that. They've got the celebrations going on over there. And yeah, I'm a bit gutted we didn't get to queue up and just watch the match.
Yeah, we should just do that. We'll look a bit weird, won't we? Like, having done this, and then we do this again, Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
You can still see like little kisses in the cup.
That's big one.
Yeah. Is that using the player for it? Yeah, it's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got all the marks from the night. And it's just brilliant. So the fact that Liverpool are putting this on and allow people to come for nothing's great. So yeah, do come down. They have asked me if you can't bring bags down, obviously security and all that. People have been turning up with big suitcases and all that on the way to the airport. Do try and leave your bags at home. Obviously bring your cameras and get pictures and all that. And the stadium tour's open as well. So if you want to make a bit of a day of it, there's availability on the stadium tour this week. Have you been on the new stadium tour? It's really good.
It's unbelievable, yeah, it's really cool. It's a lot different to the one I did sort of 15 years ago when I was a kid. And the changing rooms were dead pokey and everything. Now it's amazing. It's this like big immersive sort of experience, isn't it? It's, I think I've done it twice, and it wasn't any worse the second time. So yeah, it's definitely worth it though.
Yeah, so come down to Anfield and just look at this gorgeous trophy.
We'll still be here. You're not getting rid of us now.
I'll be watching the game in the front. And yeah, get on that.
That was the European Cup there, with probably two of the finest contributors the Anfield Wrap has.
Would you say?
It's what they're saying in the YouTube comments, you know what I mean?
Well, they're also saying other things, Craig.
They are. I don't read them anymore, they're harsh.
Like, this is like YouTube comments. I love comments on social media, by the way, but like you basically can decide how you want to view your own personality, can't you, from YouTube comments. Are you an absolute waste of space loser, or are you incredible? It's literally that polar opposite.
I mean, you just sort of take everything with a pinch of salt, I would say.
Do you want some wisdom?
Go on.
For a Tuesday morning talking Reds. I heard the guy once say, I love this. He said, no matter what anyone says, he just goes, maybe you're right. I really love that. So if someone comes up to him and goes, you are the biggest piece of shit ever, he's like, yeah, maybe you're right. And if they say, you are incredibly the best, he's like, yeah, maybe you're right. Who knows?
I love how we've had no agenda whatsoever for this Talking Reds.
This is literally just me and Craig having a chat.
Haven't seen each other in a while and decided we'll do our sort of catch up, but with you all watching, which is.
We could do this for a long time. We might end up just getting a drink and sitting here for a while.
I don't know about you. I think this summer's been strange for me in terms of the European Cup has just sort of taken over my life. That's all I've been reading about, all I've been watching, all I've been listening about. That's all I want to think about at the moment. And so transfers haven't really come into my head. And I know everyone loves transfers. Yeah. And we say this repeatedly, but everyone's transfer weirdos. Our videos, if in the summer, do better than in the build up to a European Cup final, and I think is it to do with the fact that there isn't anything going on? Is it that all we've got is transfers to hold on to?
Yeah, but I can't believe, because I was saying to Craig before, I'd taken all social media off my phone before the final because I just wanted to break from all the madness, and then I put it back on for the final, and Twitter has been the nicest it's ever been for a week.
It was lovely.
And now it's I put it on this morning, I put Twitter on and I was like, yeah, it's gone back to normal now. I can't believe people are so keen to get back to this shit when we could just be talking about winning a European Cup. I think we should just do that forever. I was hoping people are just going to keep every few days, someone would just do a new video. You're like, here's a different angle of the goal and the trophy lift, and it's set to a different song. I'm even driving around listening to songs thinking, oh, that'd be a good song to do a collage to. Let's do a montage to this song now.
Do you know what I've actually found? I found a different camera angle to anything that I'd found until previously this morning.
Of what?
Of when Jordan Henderson's about to lift the trophy, and it's a camera that's sort of behind Van Dijk, and you see them all getting excited and celebrating as they're about to. It's brilliant, good? Yeah. It's really good. But
are you with me? Let's see, I'm even stopping you talking about this now. I've never seen. It was only when I watched the slow motion one to the Titanic music, which I love. I'm addicted to that one. I'm not sure I've ever seen a group of footballers so excited about winning the European Cup.
No.
And maybe it's because I'm comparing it to Real Madrid last year, where it was just a bit yeah, we've won another one, so what? Who cares? But they're so
I think this time though, obviously there's with technology and with there seems to be so many different camera angles this time. The one I think of in 2005 and Gerrard does it is just the one in front of him. It's that iconic one where he jumps up and down with it. That's the only one I ever remember seeing. This time I've seen 25 different camera angles of every single goal. Jordan Henderson lifting it. Yeah. Salah's penalty, his celebration, everything. Yeah. Just sort of consuming it all. We'll do transfers because we know you want transfers, and we've got about 8-9 minutes on just talking about a game that was 10 years ago and not even really talking about it. Steve Nicol has said that he is urging Liverpool to sign Bruno Fernandes. Steve Nicol being the Portuguese sort of correspondent, it seems.
Well, Steve Nicol also said, now listen to this, he thinks we should sell Simon Mignolet. So I mean, there's the level of expertise we're dealing with. I mean, for that insight, we should listen to the Bruno Fernandes.
Exactly, he's right with that one. We should listen with this one. The Sporting Lisbon star has 32 goals, 18 assists from 53 appearances. That's really good. What makes me laugh about this quote though is that it comes after the game he's just played with Portugal where they beat Holland, and he was the shining star of that game, and suddenly this quote comes out. It's I'm sure there's lads that watch Portuguese football thinking, we've been saying this for months, Steve.
Steve's on the bandwagon now.
Yeah. He says, I think this would be a decent signing for Liverpool. He can play
decent.
He would play in the middle of the park.
Thanks.
Good. Yeah. Generally, Klopp's midfield three are all about work, getting the ball back, feeding the front three, and I think there's going to be a stage where he has to try and add a little bit more than just somebody who's going to get who's going to work hard and get the ball back. I think that's really harsh on our midfield, anyway.
Yeah.
There was someone else, I think it was Kevin Kilban, saying that he thought that Keita had been a flop and has been a flop until this stage. Now, we haven't seen what we'd hoped. We'd hoped that he'd be this maestro, that he just walks in and suddenly he's one of the best midfielders in the world. And it's that's really, was that ever going to happen? I think the year-long wait sort of built him up more and more. I think, and I think that's sort of unfair because it's sort of easy to forget how young he is. And you know, we saw him near the end of the season sort of contribute, and you know, he can sort of hang his hat on that and look and see that he scored a goal in the European Cup run. He scored a big goal in the Premier League run against Southampton. What are you expecting from this season? Because I know there's a lot of talk around who Liverpool signed, Bruno Fernandes from Steve Nicol there, but we've also got Chamberlain coming back. We've got players like Shaqiri who can play in that sort of that more attacking of the midfield three, and then we've got, you know, midfielders that have just won us the European Cup. So are you adding in that area, or if not, where are you looking to strengthen?
We did a gutter show last week and we're about to do another transfer show now, and one of the points I made last week was everyone loves transfers obviously and gets carried away with them and stuff, but the one thing Klopp always talks about is how much better the players he's got get by staying together. And it's massive. I remember a year ago people doubting Gini Wijnaldum because he just had a dip, and I was saying, he
was linked with Fenerbahce last summer.
Yeah, exactly. and you're like, well, give him a break because he was brilliant the year before, and these things happen. People always expect. It's funny this, and it's another life lesson. Like I'm being kind of transitioning and
get everything today. Transfers, life lessons.
It's like everyone expects growth to be like a straight line, like in anything that's happening. So footy especially, they expect footballers to slowly get better, and that isn't what happens. It's like up and down, and as long as it's in like a general upward like curve, it's good. And I think that's what Klopp will be saying about exactly what you're saying here. Like, we've just won the European Cup, and Keita contributed at the end, and he's settled in by then a bit more. Chamberlain didn't play any part of the season really, did he? So just adding those two players for next season, and it does still make me laugh that no matter how many times we go through this, and I'm as guilty of this as everyone else, we still buy these players and expect them to walk into the team and be brilliant, when actually we've seen time and again under this manager especially that he'll take a player, and it's more, this is old school, this. It's like, Robertson's a great example. Yeah. You know, you've got to learn this properly. And there was a great interview with Robertson, the Players Tribune thing before the final. Really good. And he was saying about how hard it is to play that position in this team. Yeah. Like how much you've got to learn. It's different to playing for other teams. And I think as fans, you can ignore that and take it for granted too, because it just looks like they're playing left back or it looks like they're playing centre midfield. It clearly took Keita some time to understand what he was meant to be doing. So I think he'll be boss next year. I think he'll be really, really good. Chamberlain will be fantastic. So even just buying a midfielder and saying, well, how do you get in that midfield with the lads who won the European Cup and these two coming back? So to answer the question, I'd be buying a wide forward.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that's sort of being forgotten as well. It's what winning the European Cup does to the players that are already there. And you know, for someone like Jordan Henderson, who now gets to walk into any room he's ever in and puff his chest out and say, I'm a European champion, I've lifted the Champions League for Liverpool. He can walk into a room, I think it was Rio Ferdinand said this, where it'll just change his sort of mentality now, where he can walk into a room with Dalglish, with Gerrard, with all of these greats of Liverpool and not have to worry about the burden of being a captain who's not won anything, to suddenly be able to say, well, I'm one of yous now. I'm, you know, my name sort of ingrained within the history as being the lad who lifted the European Cup for Liverpool, and I think that's massive for him. I think we'll see a big season from him next season. I think Fabinho, I mean, I love that man, and I'm so excited to see what he brings next season, because I think he's been one that, like you said, took time, but over the past sort of 5 months especially, we've seen since the turn of the year that he's a monster really in that position, and he's the kind of player that we haven't really had. He's the kind of player that Jordan Henderson was never really going to be in that position, and so to have him, then Henderson, and then you've got pickings of what Wijnaldum, Milner, Chamberlain, Keita. That's an embarrassment of riches, really, isn't it?
And people forget as well, and this statement could apply to what I've just said about Wijnaldum. Lallana's already said he's going nowhere. And people forget how much Klopp loves Lallana. Yeah. So all you need to do is get Lallana. If Lallana's fit for a consistent period of time, which is a big if, obviously, Klopp will be going. Do you remember that? I always remember this when people were banging on. This feels like it's 10 years ago. People were banging on about signing Marco Reus all the time. And there was a press conference with Klopp where he was like, but you forget I've watched all these players like week in, week out, every day in training, and you're underestimating how good these lads are. And he was referring to the likes of Lallana at the time. So
Yeah.
he could be sitting there with his midfield options going, I don't need anyone in midfield.
No. I think it's a really interesting summer ahead for Klopp, especially in the pre-season, and for the players, for him to sort of being able to look at them all. And there's loads of talks around some of the loan signings coming back. The likes of Grujic, he's maybe going to have a look at him. Harry Wilson, there's a clamour to sort of see him in a Liverpool shirt, and I sort of feel a little bit sorry for him because I'm like, I don't know how you get into this side or how you are even in the squad, because he's done brilliantly in the Championship, and I think a season in the Premier League would do him better. But with the players that have just won a European Cup and have finished with 97 points, it's going to be difficult. But that's been today's Talking Reds. We've got loads on TAW Player at the minute, loads of season reviews. There's a brilliant one from late last week where Adam Smith talks about sort of his personal year really, and it's just like I listened to it yesterday, and if you don't cry at it, you're doing really well. So it's a proper good listen. Got loads of transfer shows as well, loads more season reviews. There's a really good history gutter show which basically looks at transfer windows from the past. The one they look at is 14-15, which is really interesting because it comes after them nearly winning the league and what they do next. And what they do next is it sends shivers down your spine whenever you start listening to it. But yeah, that's been today's Talking Reds. See you soon.